This is a party you do not want to miss. Stop by the Ticket prior to the Nebraska basketball game on Friday, January 2nd from 5 to 8 p.m.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Start your Sundays off right with Jeff and Nicole Essink on Fitness Fanatics. Jeff and Nicole discuss health and wellness, how to achieve fitness goals, and more through the life of gym owners and gym goers. It's Fitness Fanatics from 9 to 11 a.m. on Sundays on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
There are so many realtors in Lincoln and Omaha, but don't get overwhelmed by all the no-names, plus all the different companies. Ben Bleicher with Professional Realty Group at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Real Estate is your go-to option, whether buying or selling residential, luxury, leasing, investment properties, or commercial property, small or large. Ben's team offers decades of experience, unbeatable customer service, and promises to fully protect your interests throughout the entire transaction. Call 402-419-6309 for all your real estate needs. Ben Bleicher with Professional Realty Group of BHHS Ambassador Real Estate.
Golfing in 72 degrees and perfect conditions in Nebraska doesn't seem possible in December, but it is. Double Eagle Golf is your escape from the bone-chilling cold outside and a reason to keep the clubs out year-round. Book your holiday parties at Double Eagle Golf and make plans to join them for a New Year's Eve party. Gift cards make a great stocking stuffer for Christmas, and don't forget to look ahead to 2026 as spring leagues begin in February. That's all at Double Eagle Golf inside the Kinetic Sports Complex on West O Street. Online at doubleeagle.golf.
A new season, a home crowd, a fresh start. Love Nebraska opens its 2026 home schedule on Sunday, January 11th at Baxter Arena, hosting Love Houston in the home opener. First serve is set for 3 p.m., and the excitement starts the moment the doors open. Don't miss the chance to see elite professional volleyball featuring Olympians, All-Americans, national champions, and more as the season officially gets underway. It's opening night, Nebraska. Be there. Get tickets now at lovneb.com/tickets. Select Plumbing and Utility has been serving Lincoln and the surrounding area for 14 years, and they're not slowing down. Select Plumbing and Utility handles all your plumbing needs, from faucets and water heaters to full renovations, and they can even help with your heating and cooling needs. They're also Lincoln's underground experts, repairing and replacing broken underground water and sewer lines since day one. Contact Select Plumbing and Utility today at 402-560-6197, assuring excellence in every situation, opportunity, and challenge. That's 402-560-6197.
For remote starters, audio upgrades, and more, there's only one place to go. Auto Sounds of Lincoln at 48th and O.
Coming at you live from the heart of downtown Lincoln. This is Old School with Foreman and Orman. Old School with Foreman and Orman is sponsored by Graham Tire Company of Lincoln, Nebraska Football Hall of Famer Jay Foreman.
Here's Troy Detmer dropping straight back in the pocket. Rifles a pass. It was tipped. It's picked off by Foreman. He's at the 15, 10, 5. He'll score! Foreman got it, and it's touchdown Huskers.
Black shirts answer the call one more time.
And Austin Orman. Hour one of Old School is sponsored by Heartland of Nebraska Windows. Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
That's right. Welcome in. New year, new us here at 93.7 The Ticket, ticketfm.com. Just kidding. Same us, Austin Norman and Jay Foreman with you. As always, 402-464-5685 if you want to be a part of the show. We'd love to have your input on everything Nebraska football, everything Nebraska men's basketball, and college football playoff. Busy day off yesterday on New Year's Day. Hope everyone made it through happy and healthy. I know we're going to make it through happy and healthy in 2026 because of our friends at Graham Tire Company. Graham Tire Company is celebrating 75 years of serving the Midwest. They're more than just tires. They do all kinds of car and light truck repairs, too. From brakes to oil changes, you can trust Graham Tire for service you can count on. Graham Tire getting you to the places that matter most. Jay, I just started to learn about grilling and the right sort of meat. Now I got to become a car guy. Shout out the good folks at Graham Tire and Auto, title sponsors of Old School.
Yes, sir. It's wintertime, too.
It is.
Yeah, they'll take care of everything. Batteries, tires. Tires are at a premium right now.
It's true.
You need traction. And then with the way Lincoln is growing, you definitely necessarily need to make sure you're treading your tires. I know for a fact, growing up in Minnesota and obviously playing throughout the United States in some warm and hot weather, tires are imperative. So they do a good job. So appreciate their support. Appreciate continue to grow the relationship with them as well.
4 Lincoln locations. Check them out online and more. Again, 402-464-5685. Whatever's on your mind, we are here to talk about. Jay, anything more to say about the bowl game? Anything more to strike you from Wednesday evening or afternoon Pacific time? Nebraska doubled up by Utah, final score of 44-24. Whether it's the game, the conversation surrounding the game, or the program, anything new pop to your mind about Nebraska football as the vortex is spinning officially today?
I mean, the game, I guess, speaks for itself, but, it was tough. You had the good and bad thing is, well, the good thing is that you immediately turn the page to the portal. That's You're lucky that the game wasn't the 23rd or like the 21st or something like that, where you could really sit on it and it can fester. Right now, as you're talking, I'm assuming talking to recruits, a good way to kind of, I guess, soften it is that, obviously that's why we're talking to you right now. Obviously, let's be honest, we have some spots and holes that we need to fix. We feel like you could be a part of that, and it could turn around very quickly. That's the conversation that you have from a good standpoint. The bad standpoint is if you have those same conversations, but forget, or I guess strategically don't address and fix the actual cause of those problems. Because if you don't do that, then you'll be having some of those same conversations in 2027 on January, whatever, 2nd or 3rd, whenever the portal opens then. So, that's really what it came down to. I think Utah's a good team. I don't think that by no means they should be better than 22 points than, ever better than Nebraska, but they had a pretty powerful offense, and their defense was all year has been average at best. I think they gave up 352 yards rushing to Kansas State and 200 and something the week before.
Yeah.
And they weren't a good defense all year. But
Nebraska was running it to start the game.
Right. And now you have to be able to stop people in order to do so. And then you got to be able to pass the ball effectively to continue to run the ball. And obviously, if you watch the Georgia Ole Miss game last night, actually Georgia University of Mississippi game last night, you would see, both teams could run the ball effectively when they had to and they needed to. Even though the other opponents, their defenses were able to make plays, you were able to go to some either concepts or physicality to keep you at or ahead of the change. You had some explosive runs, but then obviously when you keep, laying body blows, you're able to, get some big explosive plays. I think the biggest thing right now, no, Thomas and Lincoln doesn't make the 22 points better. What makes it's actually 29 points. I guess if you want to count the last touchdown. Here's what I mean by not being 22 points better. Does Utah have a better roster? Athletically.
Sure looked like it.
Okay. Oh, yeah, okay. Do they just by the rankings?
We go by rankings, probably not.
Okay, then. So they technically don't have a better roster.
Better developed, if not better recruited.
The way the Nebraska got beat, and everybody's looking at that game, is like everybody can be part of it. Whatever the percentage is, that's what they figure out, right? You got to be fundamentally sound, number one. And fundamentally sound is not just fundamentally sound. People think, okay, do you jump off sides? Do you have dumb bonehead penalties where you hit somebody 5 seconds after they play or something like that? Okay, that's the small part of being fundamentally sound. You got to have really good footwork. You have to have really good pad level. You have to know the nuances of your defense versus their offense, your offenses versus their defense, and all 4 phases of special teams for 60 minutes. Then by you knowing that, then you have to play with the right technique at the right time. Then you got to communicate effectively. You got to know and have the anticipation there. And so that's where you see the 22-point difference, because you saw it actually the pre-snap and a lot of pre-snap with Nebraska's defense. They were probably just like a half a second or maybe pushing towards 2 seconds just behind. the ball was being snapped and they still were trying to over communicate. You get what I'm saying?
Well, you talked about that, where communication's good until you're panicking. You're talking too much before the snap, and then you can't play fast.
Right, and that means you don't have enough people anticipating what could be going on, and that in particular maybe falls on the players. I always put a big onus on linebackers just because I'm biased. That's where Nebraska needs to make a huge improvement, right? You got to get guys. You can go and talk about all these guys, and I know we'll probably talk about the quarterback from Notre Dame and the offensive line from Iowa State, and that's great, right? And sure, I think coming from a winning program like Iowa State and being a 3-year starter, I think he is for sure too. And he could bring in some toughness and mentality, and so you're just going to assume that's it. But really, the biggest thing that you need right now, and what I'm going to tell you now will actually lessen, or actually will be able to leapfrog other teams at what everybody perceives looking on TV as an athletic ability gap or speed, physicality gap. You got to get some football dudes in here.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Then you got to get football dudes around them. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to really, really look at, really address the standard. You got to and this goes for the fans too. You little young fans out here, you guys, I get it. You guys don't want to hear about the 90s and all that. And I don't, and I probably about 4 times a year address it, but this is what you need. And I was thinking about this. This is what you need to understand as a fan base, and some of your media members as well. And they're just as much as part of the problem, because they've been doing this a lot longer than I ever have, or ever cared to pay attention to it. Is for decades. You've systematically taken away the fabric of what you need of playing football. And then now you're facing teams that took that fabric because they realized they weren't doing it, and they were trying to find ways to do it at the same level, and then actually accentuated it within this new age of college football.
They were in adapt or die mode. Nebraska was on top.
Right. And then college football changed, but they came in and saw what you did. They didn't look at your offense. Right. So when Tennessee came in here, that was the worst. I felt like that was the worst thing to do. We just beat them. They came here, and I know this for a fact. My best friend played on that team when they won a national championship after we beat the dog crap out of them and made them quit. They came in here and they saw how we lifted weights, how we ate, how we trained, how we practiced, how we met, and they replicated it. Nick Saban in his book, when from the time that we beat him pretty bad at Michigan State to when he went to LSU and to Alabama, he took our practice regimen, and then obviously he added stuff and adapted to it. So my point is that, okay, that's fine. Football was supposedly really, really different back then. And it's easy to make excuses for why we won, but you forget the reasons why we did win. The reasons why we did win are the same reasons why you're watching teams win in the college football playoffs. It's the same reasons why we have to continue to go along that path in order to get to where we want. Because the benchmark right now is Oregon, Ohio State, who else in
Georgia.
Indiana, Georgia. I'm just looking in the Big Ten right now,
sure.
right?
Well, that's those three, pretty
right.
clearly.
And then throw in Georgia, all those teams, right? That's the
cream of the crop.
Cream of the crop. That's the benchmark. Consistent benchmarks.
Yeah.
And you can get there faster. And this is actually a Gen Z problem. I deal with this a lot with the basketball players. You got to go through the hard and beat the hard to get to what you perceive as easy, which is actually harder, because staying on the mountaintop is 10 times harder than getting there. Because here's what I mean by you got to go through the hard. You got to find a way to beat Iowa at their game, Minnesota at their game. I won't say Wisconsin right now, but Wisconsin when they were at their game. Michigan at their game. So I'm bringing Michigan down to our level, but I feel Whittingham's probably going to get them going pretty quickly, right? But just say Michigan's in there. Let's just throw Northwestern, Michigan State, and Illinois, all those teams to consistently beat them at their game. That's a physicality game. That's a tackling game. That's more importantly a mentality game. So the mentality has to be built from January right now all the way through January next year, right? So once you do that, along with majority of those teams besides Michigan, we probably have an advantage roster-wise according to the rankings, at least for sure in the past. But I think with the transfer portal, it's always kind of it's kind of like let's see, but like with our recruiting prowess, if you do that with those athletes, then you don't have to worry about development because development will happen because that's the mentality change. Then you don't have to worry about a physicality because in order to beat them, you got to be 1,000% physical. You don't have to worry about the fundamentals, stopping the run and running the ball because in order to beat them, you have to do it. So then you're able to take your roster, that mentality with your people and go to a game and play those teams that are cream of the crop. And then later on in the season, when you need to win one game, you like your chances. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So that's where you got to be at. And it starts with the guys that, football means something to them. And it's an individual choice, but sometimes with young kids, young athletes, or just, and we've seen it with, adults as well. Sometimes you get here, you get so much, then it lessens it, right? Whereas now where you want to get the mentality, once you get it, you want more of it. You get what I'm saying? And once you get those type of guys, then you want those guys to spread their wings in the locker room.
I didn't play high school football. You can tell me if I'm wrong, but from my experience with high school basketball, you can say you like it. You can say you love it, but there's a jump from high school to college. I can only imagine, Jay, for as hard as high school football, was for you or any one of these kids in college, putting in the work that they did to get to where they're at. I'm sure it was hard work, but I'm sure it was also somewhat enjoyable because I'm saying in high school, it's probably somewhat enjoyable because guess what? You're the best of the best.
Yeah.
You're dominating. You can work hard, but you can say, oh yeah, I love football. This is great because it's easy, because you're having success, because you're getting recruited.
Right.
Then you get to college, right? And that's where I think you're talking about maybe that switch of, okay, a bunch of guys on this team are going to say they love football. Big portion of them probably just like football, but are good enough at it to get by without the full love. It's when you get everyone that actually loves football, those guys that say they love it in high school, when they get hit in the face with that adversity when they first get to college, when they get challenged by a coach, when they get challenged by an upperclassman, they're finding their own way. Do they still love football enough to come back at it the next day?
Yeah, I mean,
to get better.
Yeah, your biggest, I guess, barometer is I want to see how you respond. Because if I know you can respond, then I can maybe project in more easily to how you're going to respond in a game.
And love isn't always sunshine and rainbows either.
Majority of the time is not.
Yeah, just because something's hard or just because you're frustrated doesn't mean you can't love something.
You should be frustrated because that means it means something to you and you want it to work out, but it's not working out right now. So figure it out. So, I mean, a lot of that's there. I mean, the hard, you said that, a good point there. The stuff that's hard is enjoyable, especially when you're doing it with people that are in it, like you're going through it together. That's how you build that bond.
Yeah.
You don't build bonds by being on your own like program, and then you have a bunch of guys that sit there and blow smoke up your butt and just sit there to pat you on the back.
Yeah.
Guys that went through it together have a different bond. That's why there's a different type of like mentality versus different teams because of the bond. And it's not about championships. When you go through some crap, man, it generally, leads to, things, later, the bigger victories and bigger, and longer lasting relationships. And so, you got guys on the team that I think, and I will tell you this. I mean, even, there was guys on our team, our championship teams, and I've played with guys in the NFL that, loved what football gave to them, right? And they came out in different ways, but didn't love the game. That's natural. Indiana's a great team, and all these, you got guys out there that love what it gives them. But I could tell you what, the guys that don't, you never see them because even though internally they know it, those on those individual teams, or I knew it on my teams or whatever, the peer pressure, the good peer pressure to perform outweighed their egos or individual wants. They still got what they wanted, but they had to give us what we needed. You get what I'm saying?
Say that again.
So they still got what they wanted, which is what the guys that really love the game were going to get anyways. But they got what they wanted, but they knew they had to give us what we needed. So once you get to that, because that's realistic. There's a ton of guys. I mean, we talked about, me and you talk about Ben Simmons all the time. He's a perfect example. Tremendously talented. Should have been LeBron 2.0, just kind of Magic 2, whatever he wanted to be.
Mm-hmm.
Got a couple max contracts. Now he's fishing. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's like a talent. That's just the way it is. And everybody can't be perfect. And it's hard to, when you just watch Indiana beat the brakes off of Alabama and everybody says that we want that. But that's fine. But just listen, what you want. Do you want, they're looking at the results, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's easy. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's easy. You need to want what Indiana has done to get there. Because you want and get that, the results will come. It's it's a process.
Mm-hmm.
And you need more process-oriented guys and guys that understand that, look, you're going to get a lot of great stuff here. Your social media profile is going to go up. You're going to be treated very well. But you gotta want it, man. You gotta earn it.
I know it's going to be old news to you because it's what I said Wednesday night. But for anyone that might have missed it, I'm just going to bring it up again one more time to start the year. Where or when does that transformative class for Nebraska come? The analogy I gave post-game was that 30 for 30 ESPN did on the class that saved Coach K.
Yeah.
They're in the 80s. The group of guys that was talented enough, not just motivated enough, but you'd say disciplined enough to stay through the hard times, to be good enough to show those early signs of success, to keep a guy around, to give him the breakthrough, right? It seems to me Nebraska's missing that. Seems like Nebraska is missing a coach that has faith in his process, is still trying to figure out who he is as the head coach at Nebraska. I think he's missing a co-pilot there to hold him accountable to his vision and making sure he stays true to it on a day-to-day basis. And for being a developmental program, it doesn't feel like there's been enough development of that love for the process.
Yeah.
But part of being process-oriented is you have to see results along the way. Nebraska's seen them. Lights have gone on. They've been flickering light bulbs. Those lights
there's
are
a couple guys that are
turned
doing
on.
I mean,
right
you just got to get everybody to. I mean,
and it starts with a couple, right?
It does. And then
but
the hard thing is you got to play some young guys because if you look at Miami, a lot of the guys that are stud players now played as freshmen, got their butt kicked at times, but they learned. We've seen it throughout the Big Ten at different areas. But you got to just get guys with that type of mentality that are going to take it upon themselves and feel the confidence enough that they're going to go do it. And then obviously they're going to kind of really take reins organically of the team. Yeah. And it's what we're going to do, what they have to do. And obviously, look, Miami was able to get, obviously Cam Ward, the number 1 pick, and then obviously get Carson Beck. He'll get drafted somewhere. Mm-hmm. So you kind of have to go and piece together those positions. Indiana's done it, but the core of Indiana, what they've done is bring those like-minded guys. Now, they were able to supplant or transport that mentality from James Madison to Indiana.
Yeah.
We're talking about we need to do it organically, and that's gonna, you're gonna have to have a mix of a bunch of guys that come in the portal or mix with guys in high school, but it's all got to mesh together. So it's almost like a PhD psychology type of thing where you're trying to match up different personalities and kind of have a big brother, little brother type of thing. And then as we go along it together, it's kind of a unique mix when you think about it. We got a text here, right? He was like, the biggest day in basketball program here, where we still talk about football. Football just played less than 48 hours ago. That's number one. Football turns the lights on. Sorry about that. We will talk about basketball, but nobody's blaming the fans for substandard play. That lets me know you don't know how to listen. You can hear it. That's not an old Pelini playbook. I'm not from Bo Pelini's era. I didn't play for him. I didn't even know his playbook. That's not what I'm telling you is this. You as fans don't want to address or be associated with what I guess the standard is, but you want standard results. So for 0657, is that clear enough for you? I don't know how old you are. It doesn't matter. So your mentality is this. You want the standard that you don't want to be associated with. That's like punching yourself in the face with both your right and left hand and not trying to get a bruise on get a black eye on either one of your eyes.
Good luck with that.
Yeah. So, I guess if you're right or left-handed, I guess
maybe it's a little stronger.
yeah. Then for me, yeah, I guess I would probably rather punch myself left-handed. I got a bad left shoulder, anyways. But it can be fixed. It's going to take some growth, and guys will be willing to grow, and then you got to really dial in what you want to do is tough. Like some playing on there's good and bad things playing on national TV. And so when you get beat by 22 points, and there was some positive, you saw some good players out there, but obviously you see that, okay, we got a big step up and you got to be willing to do it.
Got to be willing to do it, and then got to be able to do it. Is it in you? Is it not in you? Are you able to? Do you want to? It all blends together. I promise we will talk basketball. It's coming up at 4.
Sure.
We got 2 hours. We'll be off the air at 5 with Culture and Coffee. Mike Smith taking over the airwaves from 5 to 7. Huge game at Pinnacle Bank Arena between number 13 Nebraska and number 9 Michigan State. We'll talk about that. Jay, of course, the comparison, though, that gets brought up really for any school that's in the middle of a rebuild or a reset is Indiana. Look what the Hoosiers just did to Alabama. But you mentioned, hey, guess what? They brought talent along from Alabama, or no, from James Madison to help them beat Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
Who are some of the guys, especially on the defensive side of the ball, that could be following new defensive coordinator Rob Orrick to Lincoln? Like you said, it relies on the fit, but there's guys at all 3 levels. Let's talk about some of the names we've heard associated with Nebraska football in the transfer portal. We'll do that next.
You're listening to Old School with Jay Foreman and Austin Orman. Download the mobile app and listen wherever you are on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. 93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
You're looking for a cast for today, a chance of wintry mix with patchy fog, otherwise cloudy skies, a high near 33. Tonight, a chance of snow, otherwise cloudy skies, a low around 24. And tomorrow, we'll see mostly sunny skies and light winds, an afternoon high near 44. I'm meteorologist Kyle Tucker for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We're kicking off 2026 with a party on Friday, January 2nd, featuring Mike Smith and the Bowie Boys, who are turning 93.7 The Ticket into a skate park. You heard that right. Make plans to stop by The Ticket between 5 and 8 p.m. on Friday, January 2nd for a live broadcast of Culture and Coffee from 5 to 7 p.m. at a vintage market plus skate experience hosted by the Bowie Boys from 7 to 8 p.m. This is a party you do not want to miss. Stop by The Ticket prior to the Nebraska basketball game on Friday, January 2nd from 5 to 8 p.m.
Start your Sundays off right with Jeff and Nicole Essink on Fitness Fanatics. Jeff and Nicole discuss health and wellness, how to achieve fitness goals, and more through the life of gym owners and gym goers. It's Fitness Fanatics from 9 to 11 a.m. on Sundays on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Select Plumbing and Utility has been serving Lincoln and the surrounding area for 14 years, and they're not slowing down. Select Plumbing and Utility handles all your plumbing needs from faucets and water heaters to full renovations, and they can even help with your heating and cooling needs. They're also Lincoln's underground experts, repairing and replacing broken underground water and sewer lines since day one. Contact Select Plumbing and Utility today at 402-560-6197, assuring excellence in every situation, opportunity, and challenge. That's 402-560-6197.
The time is now. Lincoln Marathon and Half Marathon registration is now open, and prices are rising. The sooner you sign up, the less you pay. Set the goal, start training. Register now at lincolnmarathon.org. Race day is May 3rd.
There are so many realtors in Lincoln and Omaha, but don't get overwhelmed by all the no-names, plus all the different companies. Ben Bleicher with Professional Realty Group at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Real Estate is your go-to option, whether buying or selling residential, luxury, leasing, investment properties, or commercial property, small or large. Ben's team offers decades of experience, unbeatable customer service, and promises to fully protect your interests throughout the entire transaction. Call 402-419-6309 for all your real estate needs. Ben Bleicher with Professional Realty Group of BHHS Ambassador Real Estate.
If you or anyone you care about is facing a family legal matter, call Cordell and Cordell today at 1-855-GET-LEGAL or visit CordellCordell.com to schedule your consultation.
There's a lot on the line in divorce. This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell, the largest family law firm in the country, with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. But being big doesn't mean less personal or less local. Our attorneys live and work in your community, and as neighbors, they understand the challenges your families face. Divorce touches all areas of your life: your home, savings, retirement, and of course, kids. So when you find yourself facing divorce, you need a partner you can count on. Visit CordellCordell.com to schedule your consultation.
If you or anyone you care about is facing divorce, contact Cordell and Cordell today. With over 100,000 clients served, we understand the challenges you're facing on a personal level. Call Cordell and Cordell today at 1-855-GET-LEGAL. That's 1-855-GET-LEGAL. 1221 N Street, Lincoln.
A new season, a home crowd, a fresh start. Love Nebraska opens its 2026 home schedule on Sunday, January 11th at Baxter Arena, hosting Love Houston in the home opener. First serve is set for 3 p.m., and the excitement starts the moment the doors open. Don't miss the chance to see elite professional volleyball featuring Olympians, All-Americans, national champions, and more as the season officially gets underway. It's opening night, Nebraska. Be there. Get tickets now at lovneb.com/tickets.
For remote starters, audio upgrades, and more, there's only one place to go. Auto Sounds of Lincoln at 48th and O.
Back to Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back in. It is Old School. Hour 1 of Old School brought to you by Heartland of Nebraska Windows. They're based out of Hallam, Nebraska. They offer a free estimate, full window replacements, all vinyl triple pane windows, and a lifetime warranty on everything while keeping their prices affordable. Heartland of Nebraska Windows, locally and family owned with their own team of installers. Give Heartland of Nebraska Windows a call today. For more information, you can do so at 402-430-3852 or by visiting them online at heartlandofnebraskawindows.com. Jay, quarterback's going to get a lot of the headlines, but when you bring up Cignetti, Indiana, and the continuity from James Madison, the improvement they were able to make, it makes me think about, okay, where's Nebraska getting players from? Obviously, Coach Rob Orrick comes from San Diego State, and there's a number of players really at all three levels of the defense that are, potentially some natural fits for what Coach Orrick wants to do that could come to Lincoln with him. Probably the headliner for me, not just because I'm on the show with a former linebacker, but a guy whose stats really pop out to me. Owen Chambliss, 6'3", 230, 110 tackles, and 4 sacks, all Mountain West caliber player. Obviously knows the scheme pretty well. A playmaking linebacker is something Nebraska hasn't had on a consistent basis for a long time, whether it's north-south in the run game, east-west being able to cover tight ends and running backs and whatever it is. 110 tackles, 4 sacks, couple forced fumbles. Sign me up for that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I mean, he's been very productive out there, and obviously he knows the system. And if he can come with Coach Orrick, and they got an outside pass rusher as well.
Trey White is his name.
Trey
6'3",
White, and then they have a
240-ish.
safety. If you could do that, then you kind of got 3 key positions set. Now you have to weigh that versus what you have on the roster and retain and what he can do, and obviously he has to make a decision to come here. It is drastically different football, Mountain West versus Big Ten. That's without a doubt. Like I said, a former a guy that I mentored who does some media stuff, and then Kirk Morrison, who's probably the best defensive player to ever play San Diego State. I'm sure there's others, but I just know that recent he's the dude. He just went into the Hall of Fame. He told me, I asked him about Coach Orrick, and he's like, oh yeah, he's done a really good job. He went from position coach to coordinator. He's like, but he's like, but they had probably the 3 best players in the whole, division or whole league. Yeah. That's not taking anything away. Productivity is what you need infused into that whole team. And in particular, if you're in defense, right? You get White as a pass rusher. You like it to think with him and Williams Noweri, and then obviously Cam Linhart and Keona Davis, and that'd be a nice little combination.
Ben Popple, if he's still around.
Popple, but he's more inside. I'm talking about guys on the outside.
Sure.
And then you get the linebacker where you're like, okay, now we got a guy that can not only play the run, but then can blitz and obviously can cover. You
bring a guy like Shavers along.
You got Dawson Merritt, who probably is more closer to this young man because he can play. But Dawson Merritt can run and hit you. He can strike you now, but he has no experience.
Right.
And he needs a good year or good offseason in the weight room. And that's what he'll do. You know what he's built like internally right there. He is not. I'm telling you one thing about Dawson Merritt. He's not casual, right? That's why you saw him in there, right? He's gonna find the ball. Plays with good flexibility and good leverage. You mix in with a veteran. That's what I'm talking about, that big brother, little brother thing. And as you kind of grow, and that's where you're able to do something that everybody looks at Indiana and UCLA is hoping to do so. And you think Penn State's trying to do the same thing where coach is bringing his main players over. Nebraska, because Coach Rule came from the pros, it's different. right? And there's nothing wrong with that. You have
It's
to
just
also,
different.
yeah. And so right there's not a comparison. You have to understand the dynamics of where you're at.
Mhm.
And college football has probably changed 2 or 3 times since he's been here, right? I know the portal has changed twice, right? Right, went from 1 where you had 2 dates, now you got 1, and I think he came in right on the was he at the very beginning of the early sign date, or was that already, like, in effect?
Ooh,
Yeah. I mean,
don't
either
know.
way,
Yeah.
I know it's
Yeah.
changed, right? Now, because during bowl prep last year, I think they were able to have a lot of visits during, for the portal versus now they have, you know, different. And um, so that
7543 says White from San Diego State is at Texas Tech today. They say he's going there.
yeah.
Number one, they say it's day one officially
Well,
of
Texas
the portal,
Tech is
but-
gonna do what Texas Tech does. They're gonna overspend, and they like productive players. So if he
Mhm.
goes there, that's obviously they could sell him on the instant vision of this is the dude we just got from Stanford. Look how great he was in our
Mhm.
defense. This is what we're gonna do with you. And so if that happens, then so be it. I think Nebraska. I think if guys I think Williams Nwaneri, you're not going to get a guy much more potential than that.
Right.
So you got to match Coach Manning, Williams Nwaneri with the system.
Mhm.
That's where you're doing you got to make sure that you don't do the O'Shawn Mathis thing.
Yeah.
And then you got Garrett Nelson, Caleb Tanner,
Mhm.
and Jamari Butler, and Jamari Butler didn't get a lot of reps, and so
Yeah.
then you only had him for a year at his maximum, right?
Mhm.
But a lot of his developmental reps and his productive reps were given to O'Shawn Mathis.
Yeah.
Um,
Which is where some other guys in the portal on the edge for San Diego State, August Salvati and Jared Beatty are a couple other names. So Salvati, 16 pressures, 3.5 sacks on 92 pass rush snaps this year. Should have 2 years of eligibility left. And then Jared Beatty, who started in JUCO, redshirted at Florida Atlantic. That was Salvati. Beatty is actually from Illinois and started his career at Illinois. So Big Ten guy, Big Ten footprint before playing his 1 year at San Diego State. So whether or not Trey White is in or goes to Texas Tech, there are other guys in the hopper for Nebraska. But then, Jay, you can also look at the offensive line, a position that Nebraska seems to need help at, a position I think there's enough bodies in there that you should be able to be a little more picky and choosy with it. But again, connections to new offensive line coach Jeep Wade and Tana Alu Tupuola, and then Peyton Joseph, both guys that followed Coach Wade to Georgia Tech. And then Lonnie Teasley, Nick Sharp, and Trovon Baugh, both pretty good-sized people as well. So when you think about what it's going to take for Nebraska, continuity, right? Carry pieces over. You'd like it to be the coaching staff like Signetti did. But if Nebraska's new coaches have these connections to guys that have the productivity, right? That's a key. You got to prove you can play at the FBS level, but also the traits. That's important too, Jay, because without trying, to throw this young man under the bus, Marquise Watson-Trent had the productivity. Dude put up numbers at Georgia Southern. You could tell the traits just weren't necessarily there. Maybe in a rotational role could have been better, but not as the number one linebacker, the lead dog in that room for Nebraska, which is where if you look at, Marquise Watson-Trent trying to 5'11", Owen Chambliss at 6'3", and can move side to side. Even if the production was the same, it'll, lower caliber conference, the traits just jump off the page a little bit more for Chambliss, and Nebraska needs a little bit more traits alongside the productivity.
Yeah, a little bit more size, but I think for Watson-Trent, I think he's battled some injuries, and so you weren't able to. I mean, it's hard. That's the thing when you only get a guy for 1 year, right? It's essentially you're a hired mercenary, and you got to really pop on that, and that's where some teams do really well, Texas Tech, and not. But part of it is your best ability is your availability. So, the biggest thing for him is you obviously got to make sure that he's healthy. So, now, whoever you're going to get, you can't really forecast whether they're going to be able to last or not. But that's where, you got to do a good job of scouting and understand what you want as far as physical traits. And then the most important thing, I think, or as important as mental traits and where you fit in. And so you got to make sure, you can't get so fixated. And so I call it punch drunk on the transfer portal and think you're going to find all your answers there. And then you lose sight of what you've done development-wise and growth-wise on your own roster, because sometimes you got to bet on yourself, right? And understand, look, they see these kids day in and day out. They spend more time with them than their own family, so they know who has the right mentality, or I hope they know or assume they know who has the right mentality and who doesn't, and who's going to be good They just need the opportunity of reps. And so that's where, you just got to, do what you need to do. And there is positions that, that you need to address. I know they have the offensive lineman coming in from Iowa State.
Yeah, guard Brendan Black would be a Rocco Spindler-esque addition.
Right.
30-game starter for Iowa State, would have just 1 year.
Yeah. So, but he's a guy that can maybe maximize the growth of some of the younger guys. I
Sledge,
think Sledge
Kyle.
for sure. Peters is a center, so he's still under Justin Evans. But I think with Sledge, partner with him or seeing, what he can pick up from him and learn some things from him. Once you build that interior as far as like the guard positions, and Pritchard, I'm assuming, is coming back. Okay, then you can fixate, okay, what do we need to do competition-wise or body-wise at the right tackle position? And that way you're able to add some depth and not stymie your growth of your younger players. And so the portal is not as easy as people think. And when you look at it, there's going to be close to 5,000 kids in the portal.
We were at 1,100 by mid-morning.
Yeah, so either and you still got a couple teams playing, and you have guys that aren't officially on the portal list.
Mm-hmm. You got 2 weeks to enter, starting today. So once the 16th hits, you're done. 2 weeks from today, and then you can commit at any time. But 2 weeks to get your name in the portal.
Yeah, and so then you got to make sure that if you go in the portal, I'd hope that you know where you're going or have a couple places to go. I hope you don't have agents out there telling you got the, this pot of gold in there, and then you get a, pot of, pennies. And so you just never know. I think what Nebraska can do is have these conversations, know guys that they want, but then at the same time, you really work on your identity and what you want to do, because that's going to help you like really dummy down who you want to get out of the portal. And like I said, during the season, have a clear definition of a defensive player, number one, what the traits are that you want, right? And that's all you can make some exceptions. Mentality wise, physical wise, whatever, playmaking wise, and for each position. And then you go from there and then you piece together from that. And you gotta have that go along with the, mentality change and be demanding of it. And there's nothing wrong with it. Not going to hurt anybody's feelings by asking them or demanding them to, do their best.
Right. Well, it better not hurt their feelings if you try to bring their best out of them. If it does hurt their feelings, tells you all you need to know.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say, well, maybe not hurt your feelings. You should maybe, if you get after them, right? I wouldn't say hurt their feelings. You will be in a state of shock as a player, or like, oh, like, dang, coach was tough on me today. But you want guys that are going to be able to answer the bell and not just blow it off, because everything that you think of, has to be magnified. I mean, San Diego State, they lose their coordinator. They still have their head coach, but, they obviously didn't play well defensively. You got Hunter Haynes in here. But, you still got guys on the roster that you feel like, maybe you've done. So you got, was it Rhett? And then obviously Caleb Benning did decent. And so then you got, there's 3 young guys. And if you can bring in some veterans that know the system, they can really, really help your development that way.
The other piece that's gotten some buzz today, Nebraska's gotten a few crystal balls for a quarterback transfer by the name of Kenny Minchey. He was CJ Carr's backup at Notre Dame this year. Minchey was a recruit in the class of 2023, of course, headlined by Arch Manning, Nico Yamaleva, and Dante Moore. Minchey ends up the number 14 quarterback recruit in that class, just a few spots behind Aiden Childs, Avery Johnson. Lincoln Keenholtz also names in that general vicinity. Dylan Lonergan, who ended up at Alabama. Sam Levitt ended up a few spots behind Kenny Minchey. J.J. Cole, who was at Iowa State. Marcel Reed, obviously a name. And we can go on and on through the list. But Jay, a guy that would have 2 years of eligibility, similar to TJ Lateef. Maybe Minchey probably a little more pocket first than TJ Lateef, but Nebraska seemed to want to develop that in TJ Lateef. Little bit older, but not out of eligibility, not just a bridge guy. Seems like if Nebraska lands this young man, it would be about as open to competition as you could get come spring.
Yeah, I mean, you got TJ Lateef obviously played more games here, true starts, but not so much that he cemented in there as a starter, like kind of like Dylan was last year. And you bring in this young man. I mean, it's you sit them both down, and I'm assuming the money will be about the same, because if the money's drastically different in one way or the other, no matter what you say, the guy that's making more money is going to get the first crack at starting. Yeah. So assuming that the money's about the same, then you have the conversation with them and you just be very clear with them. This is where you're at. This is where you're both at, and roll it out there and say, we're going to devise a plan that both of you get the same amount of reps. And this is what, where you guys are in a straight open competition. And then that's what's probably going to go on, just like Ohio State did this year, all the way up and through, halfway through 2-a-days or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't mean whoever doesn't start won't play, because it might be so close that, you play them a little bit, kind of like Arch with Quinn Ewers and all that. And you just never know what can happen. Obviously, we've seen this year, you're going to need more than one quarterback.
Breaking news from Pete Thamel on Twitter from ESPN. Name that's been in the news recently, guy that was also in that 2023 quarterback class. Ole Miss quarterback Austin Simmons plans to enter the NCAA transfer portal. He's entering with a no-contact tag with Missouri as the favorite to land him.
Yeah, I mean, he's a really good player, phenomenal athlete, stupid athlete. Unfortunately, he just got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And the byproduct of that is my man, Trinidad playing. Trinidad James is one of my favorite rappers. And so it gets him in the portal, and he knows his business is business. Sometimes, that Austin Simmons would be playing the same, just like but he got hurt, and he knows that he must have the assumption that Trinidad is going to get another year, because I think they're appealing for him to get another year.
Yeah.
At Ole Miss, or the potential of it.
Yeah.
The problem with Ole Miss is not a problem. They're winning. They're doing great. Is if he doesn't get another year, or if he continues to play like this, he's going to the pros. Right now, he's skyrocketing up to QB 2-3 and potentially going to 2. So he's not coming back to University of Mississippi. Then you lose Austin Simmons with a new coach who's still learning on the job, as we've seen at the end of the first half last night.
Who's also down as OC, who's never really recruited a quarterback before.
Right. And Joe Judge is kind of like the overseer of the offense, kind of like just the checks and balances. So there's still transition. You got to ride this thing out of Ole Miss, but if you don't have a quarterback going into next year, you're going to lose some guys to the league on defense. It could be a drastic change down in there in Hotty Toddy land.
Also, in Kenny Minchie news for Nebraska, one of Kenny Minchie's backups enter the transfer portal, is now out of it. Former Omaha West Side product Anthony Rizak transferred, committed to South Dakota State, Jay.
I like that for him. I like that. I think he was a better quarterback than what people gave him credit for. I think he's all right. I think he's a tough kid. He's a really good athlete. His brother was a good athlete. So I think he'll do all right. It's great. I think he'll get, Dan Jackson up there does a really good job of recruiting. Nebraska always has, no matter where he's at. So he'll get a fair chance to go and play. And I don't know who was there last year, but I know that he'll come in and be able to compete for a spot. And it's closer to home.
Yeah.
And you just never know. He might go there and really ball out, then be at a bigger school.
Good on Anthony Rizak for that. Nebraska's pursuit of a quarterback in the transfer portal. Certainly not at a close, but Kenny Minchie, the lead name. We didn't get a chance to talk about this earlier in the week, Jay, but Chip Kelly is back in the Big Ten.
And the mad scientist, little buddy Newhouse, is the quarterback coach.
Let's talk about it when we wrap up Hour 1 of Old School.
Watch Old School live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Planet Fitness has everything you need to start strong, so you can give everything you've got. From plate-loaded strength equipment and functional training areas to treadmills, stair climbers, and free weights. Our equipment is best in class, and our clubs are right around the corner, so you can make this your strongest year yet. Join the club today and save $28 or more when you join for $1 down, $15 a month. Cancel anytime. Deal ends Friday, January 9th. Are you coming? Planet Fitness. We're all strong on this planet. See club for details.
A new season, a home crowd, a fresh start. Love Nebraska opens its 2026 home schedule on Sunday, January 11th at Baxter Arena, hosting Love Houston in the home opener. First serve is set for 3 p.m., and the excitement starts the moment the doors open. Don't miss the chance to see elite professional volleyball featuring Olympians, All-Americans, national champions, and more as the season officially gets underway. It's opening night, Nebraska. Be there. Get tickets now at lovpneb.com/tickets.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket every Saturday morning now in our new time. We're on from 8 to 9 with the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside. It's every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
In a world where Wi-Fi battles rage and bandwidth is never enough, one family dares to connect it all. Work from home, influence all day, stream all night, and game to win. Deadlines, downloads, and dance-offs, all happening under one roof, flawlessly. Can your internet provider do that? Fiber fuel your household at allofiber.com/all-in.
There are so many realtors in Lincoln and Omaha, but don't get overwhelmed by all the no-names, plus all the different companies. Ben Bleicher with Professional Realty Group at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Real Estate is your go-to option, whether buying or selling residential, luxury, leasing, investment properties, or commercial property, small or large. Ben's team offers decades of experience, unbeatable customer service, and promises to fully protect your interests throughout the entire transaction. Call 402-419-6309 for all your real estate needs. Ben Bleicher with Professional Realty Group of BHHS Ambassador Real Estate.
If you or anyone you care about is facing a family legal matter, call Cordell and Cordell today at 1-855-GET-LEGAL or visit CordellCordell.com to schedule your consultation.
There's a lot on the line in divorce. This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell, the largest family law firm in the country, with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. But being big doesn't mean less personal or less local. Our attorneys live and work in your community, and as neighbors, they understand the challenges your families face. Divorce touches all areas of your life: your home, savings, retirement, and of course, kids. So when you find yourself facing divorce, you need a partner you can count on. Visit CordellCordell.com to schedule your consultation.
If you or anyone you care about is facing divorce, contact Cordell and Cordell today. With over 100,000 clients served, we understand the challenges you're facing on a personal level. Call Cordell and Cordell today at 1-855-GET-LEGAL. That's 1-855-GET-LEGAL. 1221 N Street, Lincoln.
Select Plumbing and Utility has been serving Lincoln and the surrounding area for 14 years, and they're not slowing down. Select Plumbing and Utility handles all your plumbing needs, from faucets and water heaters to full renovations, and they can even help with your heating and cooling needs. They're also Lincoln's underground experts, repairing and replacing broken underground water and sewer lines since day one. Contact Select Plumbing and Utility today at 402-560-6197, assuring excellence in every situation, opportunity, and challenge. That's 402-560-6197.
Golfing in 72 degrees and perfect conditions in Nebraska doesn't seem possible in December, but it is. Double Eagle Golf is your escape from the bone-chilling cold outside and a reason to keep the clubs out year-round. Book your holiday parties at Double Eagle Golf and make plans to join them for a New Year's Eve party. Gift cards make a great stocking stuffer for Christmas, and don't forget to look ahead to 2026 as spring leagues begin in February. That's all at Double Eagle Golf inside the Kinetic Sports Complex on West O Street. Online at doubleeagle.golf.
A membership with John Henry's will fast-track you to front-of-the-line service, seasonal tune-ups, and far fewer unexpected moments. That means no breakdowns, no waiting on a call, and no nonsense. It's consistent care that prevents small issues from turning into big bills. Join the Comfort Club and get VIP treatment 365 days a year with 24-hour priority response, member-only discounts, and peace of mind on your home's most expensive systems. Call John Henry's.
John Henry's Plumbing, heating
and electrical.
For remote starters, audio upgrades, and more, there's only one place to go. Auto Sounds of Lincoln at 48th and O.
Back to Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back in. It is hour one of Old School, brought to you hour one now by Heartland of Nebraska Windows. Again, gave you the information last segment. The number for you to call, 402-430-3852. You can visit them online, heartlandofnebraskawindows.com. They're based out of Hallam, all sorts of great stuff, including free estimates, full window replacements, and their own team of installers. Not contracting out, They got their team, so you know that you are in the best hands. Jay, we teased this. Chip Kelly returns to the Big Ten. He left Ohio State, and now he's back in the Big Ten at Northwestern as the offensive coordinator. Not alone, you pointed out he brought Rick Neuheisel's son, Jerry Neuheisel, the guy that got on a bit of a heater, calling plays for UCLA there in the middle of the mad scientist. There you go. And let's throw another name in the mix. Northwestern expected to be at the top of the list of suitors for Lincoln Kienholz, South Dakota prep product, who was at Ohio State. Overlapped, of course, with Chip Kelly. So Chip Kelly, Jerry Neuheisel, potentially Lincoln Kienholz in the building, all for David Braun. Northwestern hasn't scored 30 points per game in a season dating back to like 2012 or 2013. I can never in a million years have pictured Chip Kelly, Oregon head coach, Chip Kelly, Philadelphia Eagles and San Francisco 49ers coach, an offensive play caller for Ohio State, going to Northwestern.
Yeah. I mean,
but I love it.
They got some money now. Whether they put that in the football program and all that, but I mean, I like the hire for Northwestern. I think Braun and his staff defensively, I think they showed that they, with I guess medium talent, can be effective enough to be more than formidable in the Big Ten. And now you get a guy that's known as a pretty good play caller at the college level, and he's able to kind of come in and hopefully he has a resurgence of productivity for Northwestern's sake. As far as Chip Kelly goes, and obviously you bring Neuheisel's son with you. That can learn under Chip Kelly and maybe eventually take over. Chip Kelly doesn't stay anywhere long, or if any. Definitely signs it. I definitely don't think he signs any more than a year
9-month contract,
9-month lease or whatever. The places that he goes, and then obviously Neuheisel would be right along with him. To kind of keep it going. And if they get Kienholz, their quarterback, Chip Kelly knows a lot about him because he was at Ohio State. Probably spent a lot of time with him, obviously in the spring and obviously throughout the summer workouts. Knows that probably for the price tag that Kienholz will come with and the familiarity with Chip Kelly and his offense, and he's a really good athlete because you got to think, he was almost all set to not to come here. But you remember, when Dylan decommitted from Ohio State, partly was because of Ryan Day saw him.
Yeah.
And he was on Nebraska's radar, but obviously Ohio State kind of leapfrogged that. So, look, they got their quarterback. They got their two kind of co-OCs that you look for an uptick, at least for quarterback position from Northwestern.
Colgan J. Fellas, explain to me why Chip Kelly makes that change. What's the driving factor?
Well, he got fired from Oakland.
Yeah.
And it didn't work out. I mean, the stories in the NFL level of Chip have never been, I think, the same that you get from college. I think he's a really good college coach. And so why do you go to Northwestern? I think it's a unique challenge for him. I think it's a good match on the surface. A defensive-minded head coach, a pretty decent defense, as far as they were physical and all that. And
yeah,
you can assume they're going to get an uptick in as far as recruiting and money-wise goes. And you need somebody, that can bring in some innovation that can score some more points so you could really play to your advantage. And Chip Kelly in the Big Ten, he's been successful, and he probably had an eye on a quarterback. So when he's interviewing for the job, who would you want as a quarterback? He's like, I got that dude.
Hey, I clicked with this kid.
Yeah, a high 4-star recruit. He's looking for a home. I think they interviewed Lincoln the day before the bowl game for them, and he pretty much said, yeah, he's like, I'm third string, and everybody's looking for their Joe Burrow. It's the same thing with Joe Burrow, so you just never know. Joe Burrow was third string or got beat out or actually got hurt, and then they committed to was it Hawkins? Was it the number 7? It was that unfortunately died. Yeah. And he was good too. And so look, man, Chip Kelly can recruit. He can do the quarterback thing, and same with Neuheisel.
Not that Northwestern has a bunch of football tradition. Chip Kelly is just not exactly in that realm, which makes me a little worried that it could be like Phil Longo at Wisconsin. This just isn't who we are. It just doesn't work. But maybe it does. I mean, if you're Northwestern, it's a worthy gamble. If Chip Kelly's available, if you can make that call and he's willing to do it, if he can bring a quarterback with him and a guy that, in Neuheisel, the younger, that, at least showed some flashes of success as a coach at the Big Ten level in various ways.
Yeah.
You're Northwestern. It's at least worth a flyer if Chip Kelly answers the phone.
For sure. And a lot of these guys operate through their agents. Look, you get
Sure.
fired in the NFL. I was surprised that maybe Ohio State didn't bring him back just for this run.
At some point, we're going to need to have a conversation about just how bad Ohio State's offense got with Hartline calling plays the 2 years he did it.
Yeah. Well, it was historically bad, talent-wise. And potentially, you might lose Jeremiah Smith because of it as well. And for good, not the NFL. So it wasn't good with Hartline. It was Chip Kelly was pedestrian. But I think, look, when you're playing a lot of young players, it's hard to really be that effective. And obviously they had a new quarterback when he was at Ohio State. I think with Northwestern, maybe it was agent led, but then I was like, for Chip Kelly, it's a really a good way to get back on the market if you have any thoughts of being a head coach again. You take Northwestern's offense and turn them around to where it's consistently, successful. That's gonna boost you up to another if he wants to be another head coach again.
Yeah, I doubt it, but
I don't think it does.
That's why I thought he took the Ohio State job, because he was done being a head coach. He just wanted to coordinate, but you never know. You never know. What you do know is you got top 15, a top 13 matchup at Pinnacle Bank Arena tonight. Nebraska men's basketball, number 13 in the country, hosting at number 9 Michigan State. Let's talk through that matchup, maybe a little bit of reaction to the college football playoff if we have time. That's all ahead, hour 2 of Old School, brought to you, of course, by our good friends at Graham Tire Company.
You're listening to Old School with Jay Foreman and Austin Orman. Download the mobile app and listen wherever you are on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
A new season, a home crowd, a fresh start. Love Nebraska opens its 2026 home schedule on Sunday, January 11th at Baxter Arena, hosting Love Houston in the home opener. First serve is set for 3 p.m., and the excitement starts the moment the doors open. Don't miss the chance to see elite professional volleyball featuring Olympians, All-Americans, national champions, and more as the season officially gets underway. It's opening night, Nebraska. Be there. Get tickets now at lovneb.com/tickets.
In a world where Wi-Fi battles rage and bandwidth is never enough, one family dares to connect it all. Work from home, influence all day, stream all night, and game to win. Deadlines, downloads, and dance-offs, all happening under one roof, flawlessly. Can your internet provider do that? Fiber fuel your household at allofiber.com/all-in.
If you or anyone you care about is facing a family legal matter, call Cordell and Cordell today at 1-855-GET-LEGAL or visit CordellCordell.com to schedule your consultation.
There's a lot on the line in divorce. This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell, the largest family law firm in the country, with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. But being big doesn't mean less personal or less local. Our attorneys live and work in your community, and as neighbors, they understand the challenges your families face. Divorce touches all areas of your life: your home, savings, retirement, and of course, kids. So when you find yourself facing divorce, you need a partner you can count on. Visit CordellCordell.com to schedule your consultation.
If you or anyone you care about is facing divorce, contact Cordell and Cordell today. With over 100,000 clients served, we understand the challenges you're facing on a personal level. Call Cordell and Cordell today at 1-855-GET-LEGAL. That's 1-855-GET-LEGAL. 1221 N Street, Lincoln.
Golfing in 72 degrees and perfect conditions in Nebraska doesn't seem possible in December, but it is. Double Eagle Golf is your escape from the bone-chilling cold outside and a reason to keep the clubs out year-round. Book your holiday parties at Double Eagle Golf and make plans to join them for a New Year's Eve party. Gift cards make a great stocking stuffer for Christmas, and don't forget to look ahead to 2026 as spring leagues begin in February. That's all at Double Eagle Golf inside the Kinetic Sports Complex on West O Street. Online at doubleeagle.golf.
Tune in to 93.7 The Ticket immediately after every Nebraska men's basketball game for 1 hour of post-game recap. The Nebraska Basketball Postgame Show is sponsored by Union Bank and Trust, John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electrical, and the Lincoln Airport on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
The time is now. Lincoln Marathon and Half Marathon registration is now open, and prices are rising. The sooner you sign up, the less you pay. Set the goal, start training. Register now at lincolnmarathon.org. Race day is May 3rd.
Planet Fitness has everything you need to start strong, so you can give everything you've got. From plate-loaded strength equipment and functional training areas to treadmills, stair climbers, and free weights. Our equipment is best in class, and our clubs are right around the corner, so you can make this your strongest year yet. Join the club today and save $28 or more when you join for $1 down, $15 a month. Cancel anytime. Deal ends Friday, January 9th. Are you coming? Planet Fitness. We're all strong on this planet. See club for details.
We're kicking off 2026 with a party on Friday, January 2nd, featuring Mike Smith and the Bowie Boys, who are turning 93.7 The Ticket into a skate park. You heard that right. Make plans to stop by The Ticket between 5 and 8 p.m. on Friday, January 2nd for a live broadcast of Culture and Coffee from 5 to 7 p.m. and a vintage market plus skate experience hosted by the Bowie Boys from 7 to 8 p.m. This is a party you do not want to miss. Stop by The Ticket prior to the Nebraska basketball game on Friday, January 2nd from 5 to 8 p.m.
A membership with John Henry's will fast track you to front of the line service, seasonal tune-ups, and far fewer unexpected moments. That means no breakdowns, no waiting on a call, and no nonsense. It's consistent care that prevents small issues from turning into big bills. Join the Comfort Club and get VIP treatment 365 days a year with 24-hour priority response, member-only discounts, and peace of mind on your home's most expensive systems. Call John Henry's.
John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
And electrical.
Coming at you live from the heart of downtown Lincoln. This is Old School with Foreman and Orman. Nebraska Football Hall of Famer Jay Foreman.
Here's Coy Detmer dropping straight back in the pocket. Rifles a pass. It was tipped. It's picked off by Foreman. He's at the 15, 10, 5. He'll score! Foreman got it, and it's touchdown Huskers.
Black shirts, answer the call one more time.
And Austin Orman. Old School with Foreman and Orman is sponsored by Graham Tire Company of Lincoln, your tire store next door with 4 Lincoln locations. Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
That's right. Welcome in hour 2 of a Friday show, helping send you off into your weekend. Got a couple hours of culture and coffee after us, and then, of course, men's basketball postgame. That is the direction that we are headed here in hour 2 of the show. 402-464-5685. Be a part of the conversation on Husker Hoops if you would like. In our starter, Heyman Jewelers text line, getting you to the places that matter most. It's Graham Tire. Graham Tire Company celebrating 75 years of serving the Midwest. They're more than just tires. They do all kinds of car and light truck repairs, too. From brakes to oil changes, trust Graham Tire for service you can count on. Jay, first top 15 matchup in Pinnacle Bank Arena history tonight. Nebraska, number 13 in the country, hosting number 9, Michigan State. Are we talking through the mental part of the matchup first or the physical part of the matchup first? Which is more important tonight for the Huskers?
I think it's the physical part.
All right, the physical part.
Michigan State is extremely physical.
They are.
And Nebraska's got to be able to match their physicality, especially on the defensive boards.
Heard from Rink Mass yesterday. So this is a game you got to be prepared to get hit, get ready to get bruised, get ready to get scratched. Plain and simple. Michigan State, one of the top rebounding teams in the country, number 6 in terms of offensive rebounding and number 3 in terms of defensive rebounding. But, Jay, like a good football team, not only will they hit you hard, they'll run fast.
Yeah.
Fred Hoiberg has emphasized this since he got to Lincoln. If you've watched Michigan State for more than about 1 4-minute segment, they're going to crash the offensive glass. They will secure the defensive glass, and then they're going. They are getting it up ahead into the front court as quickly as they can. Transition has always been a staple for Michigan State under Fred Hoiberg, who I was at his press conference yesterday, and I thought it was pretty funny. He said, athletically, if you lined up everyone on our team at the baseline with Cohen Carr, we might have a guy get to half court by the time he's done with his sprint.
Yeah.
He's going to get the headlines. Obviously, Fear's averaging almost 10 assists per game. But regardless of who it is, Jay, That's culture. That's program. Michigan State is always going to rebound, and they are always going to run.
Yeah, I mean, look, they have identity, and they have a system that matches the identity of the players and the coach for the coach first, and then identity and characteristics of the players that they recruit. And then they form those players at a very young age into what they want a Michigan State Spartan to be. And it's rinse and repeat. They're athletic, they're big, they're physical. Fears has got a lot of experience, and so therefore you're not gonna, you can't come into the game and be like, oh, well, we can expect 6 or 7 turnovers from him. They are not coached to be soft, so that right away. I mean, you got Kohler that's coming; he's averaging a double-double.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got Fears that's averaging almost 10 assists a game, so that lets you know the efficiency on their offense is at a maximum, especially when they get rolling. And we've seen it, right? At times when we went up there. They do a really good job on the offensive boards. When you think of obviously Kohler, and then you think of Cooper as well. And then you think of the athletic ability of Carr. He allows them to do everything. He's averaging 5 boards and a couple assists, and obviously 12 points. And if he starts to hit a couple threes, which he's not known for, that really opens up the inside prowess. Michigan State's one of the few teams, even though they generally have good guard forward play. I think they had Valentine and all those guys. So they're kind of like, bigger guards, slower pace. But they're a little bit of an old school team where I wouldn't say they fully play inside out like an old school type of, like back in the day when with Patrick Ewing and all them.
Right.
But they don't. They're pretty good in post entry. They'll stretch you out some. So what does that do for you defensively when you don't face a team like this all the time?
Very often.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
It is a shock to your system because generally, like a lot of the teams in the Big Ten, in basketball in general, everybody just sprints to the 3-point line, dribble drive 3, or try to get a layup. Well, then now you got a team that's going to punch you in the mouth, and they're going to crash the offensive boards. So if you're a ball watcher on the backside of a defense, you're probably going to get the hook pretty quickly because they're coming to get it. And then they get back defensively at a good enough rate. So if you're a fast break or faster paced team or a secondary break team, this is just practice for them. So how do you offset that? I think you just got to beat them. You got to make them shoot at certain times in the shot clock that they aren't comfortable with, which I think later in the shot clock, make them be hard shot makers.
Mm-hmm.
Don't allow easy possessions for them.
Mm-hmm.
What I mean by this, the quick shots have to be calculated and they have to be thought out.
Yeah.
Because if you're not hitting those, here's the thing about quick shots or transition threes. PBA is going to blow the top off if we're hitting.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're not, they'll bleed you to death because they play that inside-outside game.
They'll go fast to get it to the front court, but in terms of their tempo, they actually played a slower pace than Nebraska.
Yeah.
About 2 possessions per game less than Nebraska, and 3 possessions per game more than Iowa, who's one of the slowest teams in the country. It's such a fascinating style to watch, Jay, because of, you think about how fast. Fred Hoiberg said yesterday, every year he's played Michigan State, his guys come to the U16 timeout, and they're like, oh, Coach, you were right. This is different. You couldn't prepare us for this. It's so different. But then for as fast as they want to go, they will grind you down. They will work for the shots at the end of the clock. And I'm glad you brought that up, Jay, because I think one key for me for Nebraska tonight is going to be to make Jeremy Fears beat them as a scorer. You know, Kohler is a pick and pop big. He's really developed. I don't know how much I buy it. Maybe I should buy into it more than I have. Cooper doesn't necessarily scare me, but I think Nebraska, all things considered, is a pretty good matchup. Has some favorable spots against Michigan State. Both teams will play 2 bigs at a time. Carr's athleticism could be an advantage for Michigan State, like Texas A&M a couple of years ago. But if Nebraska can shoot it well, obviously that cancels some stuff out. I just think this Nebraska team, in so many ways, can be built to beat Michigan State if they take care of the little things that Fred Hoiberg always says. Defensive activity, hand activity. Don't let Carr get 3 or 4, transition dunks to spark Michigan State. Take care of the ball like both teams do. Because Jeremy Fears, throughout his career, he really, blew up on the scene this year because Michigan State's played some pretty big non-conference games. They beat Arkansas I didn't see that one coming. I liked Arkansas's guards a lot better, but Fears was good in that one. They beat Carolina. They beat one other team of note, lost to Duke at the Breslin Center. But Fears has been really good. I just think that's a guy that doesn't scare you as a scorer the same way like Cash Winston would or Jace Richardson would. If Nebraska is going to get beat, I think it's either because you're playing off of Carr, not letting him get downhill, draw fouls, you're making him shoot over top of you, or you man up on everyone else. You say, okay, Jeremy Fears, you want to pass, and that sets up your relocation threes and second side attacks. If you want to do that, fine. But we're going to trust Sam Hoiberg and Marcus Lawrence, probably Cale Jacobson at times. Even, dare I say, Berke Buchanan on some switches to make Jeremy Fears take some tough shots. I'm not sure he's wired to beat Nebraska as a scorer. Not to say he can't, but I just haven't seen that.
Well, let's make him do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because that's what you pick one guy out, and then you're actually, I wouldn't say you're never okay with losing, but if you execute your game plan, then you can, you can walk away with like, okay, we executed our game plan.
Yeah.
And you're 100% right. He's a really good guard, but he's not the normal guards that they've had.
Yeah.
That they will kill you.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And they have, and Izzo will let him kill you.
Right.
Okay. Well, you're not a guard. Okay. Then he'll just hit you off the pick and roll right there about the free throw line elbow. He'll get downhill and one you to death. Timely threes. Next thing you know, you were down 10. Next thing you know, that you're down by 20. And the pace that they play at is very interesting. And you see a lot of really good football teams. And I'm thinking about like the Patriots when they were really, and I obviously played against them when they were they were been at their apex for 20 years. But when I played against them, they play fat. They play at their own pace, but they don't play in a hurry.
Yeah.
But the pace that they play is both physically demanding and, more importantly, mentally demanding.
Yeah.
And when you're talking about the little things that you have to do to beat Michigan State, is you can't have a ton of obvious defensive breakdowns, defensive switches, communication. It's going to be loud as heck in there in the first 5 minutes, 6 minutes.
Yeah.
So you got to be able to be loud, and you got to be very clear on what the defensive assignments are. You can't have those. You can't give up 50-50 balls on the defensive end, meaning they get an extra possession on the offensive rebound, right? Or have a rebound and you're trying to look up the court and you drill, all those little kind of, self-inflicted wounds. You do that, then actually it starts to put more pressure on them.
Yeah.
Because they're going to put the pressure on right from the get-go. You succumb to the pressure or you withstand the pressure, then you get your second win. Then you're going to be playing basketball.
Yeah.
Then you can get into it, and then Fred Hoiberg can kind of draw up things to create some shots and create opportunities for other guys. And I think he has a veteran team, a more veteran team, and it may be a little bit better mentality versus this team versus last year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, so you got Rink and you got Sanford. You got two guys right there that are doing well. And then you got the best version at Berke. So, I mean, and it's been consistent. So he's done it this long being consistent. It looks a lot better than last year.
Hold that thought on the mentality, because that's where I want to go next. Just some kind of stylistic things as well, just as an overview. Michigan State doesn't shoot many threes. They're about 21 attempts per game. That's about 34% of their shots, but they make a good percentage. They're 37% three-point shooting team. When you talk about inside out, Jay, they want to get downhill. They're more than okay with post-ups, but the threes that they get are more often than not high value looks, right? They come at the end of the shot clock where you've done everything right for 26 seconds. They get a paint touch, they kick it out, bang, there's three. It really hurts. Now, here's the thing. Nebraska's game plan, force teams to shoot. Nebraska allows 32 threes per game from opponents. Over half of opponent shots come from three, and opponents only shoot 30% from there. We know that's the gamble that Nebraska likes to take. How about this, though, for Michigan State? Defensively, they allow a ton of threes. They allow 27 attempts per game from three, which is, again, about half of the shots that they allow comes from three, which feeds right into Nebraska's hands, where Nebraska is taking over half of its shots from three so far this year. Michigan State gives threes up. So does Nebraska. It sounds very, reductive just to say whoever shoots better from three will win. But for Nebraska, I do think the three-point shooting in the number of attempts is going to be something to monitor, because let's just assume Michigan State wins the rebounding battle. Now, it doesn't blow Nebraska out, but if it gets up to 10 rebounds or more,
then that's a problem.
It's a big problem.
Yeah.
The only way Nebraska can survive getting out rebounded, I think, even by 5 or 7, is if Nebraska's three-point volume comes into effect. Michigan State's going to get more shots. I almost guarantee it. Michigan State will take more shots on the night than Nebraska because neither team really turns the ball over. Michigan State is going to put an emphasis on the number of possessions, the number of shot attempts that it can take. Nebraska might not. Nebraska's going to go one and done more often than not. But for Nebraska, if enough of those shots come from three and they hit their season percentage or a little bit more from there, then Nebraska will be fine. If you're not going to have more possessions, you got to end them with higher value shots, which has been Nebraska's trade-off.
Yeah, and also let's not fool ourselves. Izzo knows what the strength of Nebraska is or what they do at a high value.
Yeah.
He's not preparing for this game on the road, 8 o'clock on a Friday on national TV. And it's like, we're just going to let you shoot threes. Yeah. And he watched he watched the Illinois game. Mm-hmm. He's seen Rink Math. He's seen everybody else. So that's part of their game plan. He's actually, I can't speak for him. I assume he's going to try to run you out the 3-point line. We're going to see if you can play like Michigan State, get 2 feet in the paint.
Yeah.
Now, Fred knows that as well. This is the ultimate chess match. And
he said yesterday, too, we can't challenge shot blockers. We can't play in crowds.
But if you can find a way through action or by you obviously reading the defense on the run and getting in the paint, it actually makes your 3-point percentage with Nebraska go way up. That's what you've seen in the second half of games that they generally or recently have started slower. So Michigan State is going to, like you said, get downhill. They live in the paint, both by play and then obviously by being athletically enough to get in the paint. They're going to try to beat you up. They're going to try to body blow you to death. And they like what I call them essentially kick out threes or butt naked threes. Which what that is anytime that you come over half court, realistically, you're open. Anytime that you receive the ball on the wing, most likely you could shoot it. What they like to do is, like you said, play a little slower, get it into the paint if they're trying to get a three. They're getting more of a, I guess, practice drill type of three. Mm-hmm. If you've watched major or Power 4 or big time colleges practice, they work on drills or getting it in there on the backside, get into the paint, reverse action out. It's essentially a practice drill because it's going to be a wide open three, and that's what they have done, and that's why they shoot a good percentage. That's why they don't have to shoot many, because why? They know offensive rebounds, more shots up on the glass, free throw lines eliminates the have to shoot that many threes.
Yeah.
So
let's go ahead and hit our Starter Heyman Jewelers text line here, and then more on this game coming up in the next segment, because I do think as important as the matchups are physically, there's a lot that goes into this one mentally as well. Waverly Jim says it can't afford a ref show. Well, it's the Big Ten. Get ready for it as always. But neither one of these teams actually shoot a bunch of free throws. Nebraska only shoots a free throw rate of 31.2%, only allows an opponent free throw rate of about 22%. Michigan State, not much different. They don't get to the line very often either, less than 37% free throw rate per 100 possessions. And they don't foul much defensively or allow many free throws either. So I hope that, like Waverly Jim is saying, ref show doesn't come into account, but it is the Big Ten. Yeah. You're never quite certain here. Virginia Pirate, I think what would get Nebraska tonight is if they were to have one of those long scoring droughts. They're good defensively, but the margin of error seems difficult against a team like Michigan State. This is something, Jay, that I was going to bring up next segment, but since Virginia Pirate did, we can talk about it now. Nebraska has played really well against the best competition on its schedule. Creighton, Wisconsin, Kansas State are games that come to mind. Obviously, the Illinois road win, Oklahoma. Wisconsin, Oklahoma. Yeah. In Nebraska's best rated, highest rated games against its best opponents, Nebraska's played its best games. Here's the thing. So has Michigan State. Evan Miyakawa puts together, how good you are relative to your competition. Nebraska is the best team in the Big Ten at playing its best against the best competition on its schedule. Know who number 2 is? Michigan. Number 3, Michigan State. There's so little breathing room between those three. All of them raised their game. And so, Nebraska has struggled offensively in, back-to-back first halves before they've really turned it on. Struggles tonight could doom Nebraska, but this has also been a group that's been able to turn it up.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, it's a top 15 matchup for a reason. Nebraska's earned it and Michigan State has earned it as well. And you got to think, I think it was back to March Madness last year. I think the run that Michigan State went on, and Tom Izzo said, man, I got more energy now.
Yeah.
You're going to get the best version of Michigan State right now. And Nebraska's going to give them the best version of themselves. The one thing I like about Nebraska with this team is that you've had different guys at different times during the year pick up the slack, whether it's Frager, whether it's Sam. Obviously, with the big guys in Rink Mass and all them, they've done it. And obviously, let's not forget Jamarcus Lawrence. This version of Jamarcus Lawrence is more prepared to play against Michigan State than the previous one.
Big time.
Right?
Big
and then
time.
you mix in the other guys with them where if they're struggling offensively, you can count on it, whether it's a Jacobson, like I said, Hoiberg, or obviously Braden Frager come off the bench and provide it. And let's not forget my man Garcia. This is tailor-made for him.
Big time.
When you saw it, actually, the only team that probably, like in assumption, that is somewhat physical like Michigan State would be Illinois, just from the size. And Garcia,
Wisconsin usually, but wasn't this year.
Yeah, usually, but they're not. And you look at Garcia when he came in off the bench, the physical, he got you 6 points, but it was a physical.
Well, it was 10 in the second half for him.
Right, but he got 6 right away.
Right away,
right?
yeah.
At least 4, I know for sure, on back-to-back plays, but they were physical.
Yeah.
Right? And it allowed Rink to kind of still do his thing, and obviously Sanford was on a heater where they kind of focused on him in the second half. So I think Nebraska's roster is built better to withstand a cranked up defensive mentality of Michigan State to continue to get points. I think this team is better built for Fred and to call and run some actions to kind of eliminate those runs, whereas like I think in years past you had Bryce McGowan, you had Greasel that, they went right to the big guard, back you down, get to the free throw line. Now I think that they were able to run some action with some legitimate shooters to eliminate those scoring droughts, which you can't do at least more than once against a team like Michigan State.
Cupsker, Nebraska can't come out breaking threes like they did against the previous 2 opponents, even if Sparty gives up that many. There's a fine line between stick to the game play and do what works, and it's not working, go to something else. It's different against the North Dakota, where Nebraska or New Hampshire, where Nebraska can get downhill at will. Not necessarily going to be the case here.
You're going to get hit tonight, man.
And you better welcome it.
Yeah.
You can't back down. I think it becomes a big Jamarcus Lawrence game for his sake, hopefully in the scoring column and in the stat sheet, because I think we're kind of overdue for a high impact Jamarcus Lawrence game like that. But I do think this is a Sam Hoiberg game, a guy that Michigan State is going to let shoot. Sam's got to knock down a couple threes in this one tonight, right? Rink Mass, I think, is like 5 of 23 from range or 5 of 17 from long range his last few games. He's got to hit a couple to match Kohler like you expect. Those are the numbers. Those are the matchups. Those are the names. That's the physical part of this matchup. Mentally, what does this game mean for Nebraska? Michigan State's been there before. Nebraska really hasn't. What is the mentality of Nebraska entering this game? What is at stake for the Huskers and the Spartans? We'll break down this matchup a little bit more on the metal, what's inside you aspect of things when we get back to Old School, brought to you by Graham Tire.
Watch Old School live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
A new season, a home crowd, a fresh start. Love Nebraska opens its 2026 home schedule on Sunday, January 11th at Baxter Arena, hosting Love Houston in the home opener. First serve is set for 3 p.m., and the excitement starts the moment the doors open. Don't miss the chance to see elite professional volleyball featuring Olympians, All-Americans, national champions, and more as the season officially gets underway. It's opening night, Nebraska. Be there. Get tickets now at lovneb.com/tickets.
Planet Fitness has everything you need to start strong, so you can give everything you've got. From plate-loaded strength equipment and functional training areas to treadmills, stair climbers, and free weights. Our equipment is best in class, and our clubs are right around the corner, so you can make this your strongest year yet. Join the club today and save $28 or more when you join for $1 down, $15 a month. Cancel anytime. Deal ends Friday, January 9th. You coming? Planet Fitness. We're all strong on this planet. See club for details.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Underground, who has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you, go Big Red!
In a world where Wi-Fi battles rage and bandwidth is never enough, One family dares to connect it all. Work from home, influence all day, stream all night, and game to win. Deadlines, downloads, and dance-offs, all happening under one roof, flawlessly. Can your internet provider do that? Fiber fuel your household at allofiber.com/all-in.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, a chance of wintry mix with patchy fog, otherwise cloudy skies, a high near 33. Tonight, a chance of snow, otherwise cloudy skies, a low around 24. And tomorrow, we'll see mostly sunny skies, some light winds, an afternoon high near 44. I'm meteorologist Kyle Klecker for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
The time is now. Lincoln Marathon and Half Marathon registration is now open, and prices are rising. The sooner you sign up, the less you pay. Set the goal, start training. Register now at lincolnmarathon.org. Race day is May 3rd.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills Global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
Tune in to 93.7 The Ticket immediately after every Nebraska men's basketball game for 1 hour of post-game recap. The Nebraska Basketball Postgame Show is sponsored by Union Bank and Trust, John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electrical, and the Lincoln Airport on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
A new year means it's time to try new things. If you haven't tried Führer's cheese spread yet, the time is now. For the days you don't want to go to the gym, don't worry. Führer's cheese spread is there to cheer you up. And for the days you do get to the gym, why not celebrate when you get back with the best dip around? Get to your local grocery store today and load up on Führer's cheese spread. No event or party is complete without it on your table. All right, Lincoln, if you're a diesel technician who's ready to earn up to $40 an hour and you're tired of working nights and weekends, listen up. Inland Truck Parts and Service is hiring experienced diesel technicians right here in Lincoln, and they're offering what every hardworking tech wants. Monday through Friday hours, no nights, no weekends, and paid training on advanced diesel technology. With 37 locations across 12 states, career advancement opportunities are endless. Start building towards your future and apply today at inlandtruck.com. That's inlandtruck.com. Or text APPLY to 785-369-1320.
Back to old school with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We're back halfway through hour 2 of Old School. Austin Orman, Husker Hall of Famer, NFL vet Jay Foreman here on stream and radio, 93.7 The Ticket with you. Talking some Nebraska and Michigan State, about 3.5 hours away from tip between the Huskers and the Spartans down at the Vault. Jay, we talked about the physical stuff, the matchup, the players, the names, and whatnot.
Right.
But mentally, the stakes around this game, I think it's twofold. Talking with Fred Hoiberg yesterday at his pregame press conference, he reiterated, it's just another game. Business as usual. It only counts for one in the standings. And I think all that's great. And I think you need that mentality because this is the start of really the long grind. We get to February, 5-6 weeks away, and you're halfway through the grind. It's just weighing on you. Yeah, you got to treat every game the same. And that's fine. I think this is a mature group that's going to do that, that's going to come in with a business-like approach. I think that would be labeled emotional maturity in a lot of ways.
Right.
But I think there's another aspect of emotional maturity, Jay, which is meet the moment. This is unprecedented territory for this arena and almost for this fan base. You haven't seen many top 15 matchups in Nebraska men's basketball history. Michigan State has played in 10 of these games, top 15 matchups by my count, since Fred Hoiberg got to Lincoln, on top of all the other ones that Tom Izzo has coached in.
Right.
Michigan State's going to be ready for it. They're not going to be fazed by the environment. Nebraska can't afford to come out, as you would say, motivated, not disciplined,
Sure.
play hard for 8 minutes and then have 32 minutes of whatever. But Nebraska also can't afford to just treat this like any other game. To me, emotional maturity is also recognizing the stakes and raising your level to meet the moment.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a big game, obviously, because we have the nation's longest winning streak, right?
17 games right now.
17 games, and so I think it's a big game from more of a, I wouldn't say the fan base, but your mentality of like, okay, this will cement 100%. You can't have a conversation about Nebraska basketball and say, okay, we're not a good basketball team. I think people should know it and believe it if you've actually watched the games. And the way they beat Creighton, the way they beat Wisconsin, the way they were able to go to Illinois and essentially have the stranglehold on that game from the beginning, and obviously withstood the barrage of threes down the stretch. They beat Michigan State, then they go on the road 3 days later to a tough or sneaky tough Ohio State team, and then you go to Indiana. It gets you equipped for that. Now, it's a huge game based on the pageantry around it. Top 15 teams. Michigan State has kind of been, kind of like the benchmark is, Tom Izzo is a dude, right?
Oh, yeah.
And obviously they're a very physical and tough team. They're hard to prepare for. But ultimately it is another game. And I think the mentality has to be, yes, it's another game, but it's a big game.
Yeah.
Don't just go out there and it's like, oh, it's just another game. We're going to play Michigan State again. You only play them once this year. Not unless you play them in the Big Ten championship or Big Ten, conference championship. So, I think what you have to do is you got to just go out there and understand it's a big game. This is what I guess, were recruited in the transfer portal. A lot of the guys were, and obviously Rink Master came back for games like this. We're built for this. We know we can play good. We just got to go out there and play our game. That mentality, it's another game. But the magnitude of it, it's always going to be a big game.
Michigan State lost by 7 the last time they came to Lincoln. The team that made the tournament beat them 77-70, and fantastic basketball game. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, that was No-Sit Sunday, right?
That was just 2 years ago. That was just a good early conference
you're right,
regular season
I was thinking
game.
about the one with Tim Miles.
Yeah, that was Wisconsin back in 2014. Tim Miles actually went to East Lansing and beat Michigan State earlier in that season as well. So Michigan State, last time they were in this building, it didn't go well for them. That was the one time they faced each other that year, I believe. Last year only played once as well. Up at the Breslin Center, Michigan State 30-piece Nebraska.
Yeah, it was from the get-go.
From the get-go, Nebraska didn't show up. I mean, it was there in Mackey Arena that Nebraska had its 2 worst performances of the year. Jay, I was talking to some people about this game, and I was struck by remembering something Berke Buichtengel said after Wisconsin. I'm going to play that for us now. So this is a Berke Buichtengel, number 9 for Nebraska. I think his first post-game media appearance since he's been at Nebraska. This is what he said after the Wisconsin game.
I take it one for the team. And this, not hatred, but this kind of, how do you say? Intensity come from last year's game too. Like in their home court, they just beat us real bad. So we just wanted to win this game way too much. And we're lucky that we have a fan group like this. We cannot thank them enough.
Okay. I think that the broken English and the fact it was his first time in front of the media in that way is perfect. This, not hatred, what's the right word? This intensity comes from last year's game too. Like in their home court, they beat us really bad. We just wanted to win this game way too much. Plenty of other people, Jay, that in that spot would have said, yeah, we know what they did to us last year. Now they come to our home court. Let's see what we got. But Berke's broken English. In fact, he's still learning how to speak the language and doesn't know all the vocabulary. I think is perfect. He hated it. The team hated getting beat by 16 against Wisconsin last year. It was never that close, but ended up a 16-point margin. They hated it. He didn't want to say hatred. He knew that wasn't quite the right word, but I think it reveals something. This is a team that hold grudges. Not everyone was on that team. Price Sanford wasn't there. Jamarcus Lawrence didn't get waxed last year.
Hoiberg was there.
Sam was there. Rink was on the bench for it. Cale Jacobson was there and others, right? But this is a team that holds grudges. And if they come out with that same fire, that same hatred, if you want to use Berke's word, intensity, fire, fuel, whatever you want to call it, for a team that beat them by 16 in their gym last year, that Nebraska then got the get back on at home, to a team that doubled that in their home gym. I love that this team holds grudges. That, to me, is meeting some of the moment. And of course, you do it in a responsible way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not in a make it about me, I'm going to atone for last year on my own, but in a you let it go, but you never forget it way, like you talk about all the time.
Oh, yeah.
I think this team's got some of that in it.
Oh, yeah, it's good. I mean, it's obviously probably a little bit more cohesive team than it was last year. And team last year was, kind of a hodgepodge, and there were some other issues going on. I think it's, that Fred and company learned from that. And obviously, I think this is a new Burkay, man. I think the last year coming in with the fanfare and the expectation of, from him being on his national team and being at UCLA, and it's almost like you get a transfer from, I don't know, Georgia at times. You're like, okay, we expect you to reinvent basketball. And it took a little while for him to transition into, being at Nebraska. I think he is in better shape. You can tell that. So that means you're getting better, more consistent play from him. I think with Sanford coming, I think it allows him to do some other things. It allows him to be actually more effective because he can kind of be that nagging defensive, guy that can switch and knows what he's doing. And also, I'm gonna tell you this, and this is him being from Turkey, and you talk about competing, and you can say this with rank, but I could for sure from Turkey, they play for different reasons, though. They and this is why I think you're getting a better version of Burkay. It's a prideful, like you got us, we haven't forgotten, and we're gonna get you back. And then when we get you back, we're going to try to double it up on you. And so you're probably not going to beat Michigan State like you did Wisconsin, but it lets you know, because a lot of times these present day players, they get smoked by 20 and they go right to the next game. Like they just forget about it. And then they'll play the next year and like be all chummy with somebody that's beat the brakes off you. Like this team is maybe a little bit different.
Did you ever shake anyone's hand from Racine, Wisconsin after that fateful night?
Nah, man, I ain't never forgot that, dude. I ain't never forgot it. But we ain't never get him again, though, either. So I think
you've been back to Wisconsin. You've made a point to piss on the Racine side
too. But I just ain't never got.
Did you pull a Columbia, Missouri?
Nah,
in
man, they got me, man. Because hey, listen, that alley-oop dunk, I was like, these dudes are coming out the rafters. But I think this team has got a little bit more edge. I think when you saw it where they were able to. You saw it up there when they played Oklahoma and South Dakota, is that they had a little bit more edge, could dig in a little bit. It's organic too. Have a good mix of guys. I mean, I think you got Sam and obviously Kale, and then you got Burkay, and then you got Jamarcus Lawrence, got a little stuff to him, and then you got Braden Frager that doesn't know what he doesn't know, and with Rink, refreshed, and then in Sanford, I think is getting a chance to really show his stuff. So it's a good mix of guys, and that's how when you build a team, and they have. I think it's position, identity, and clarity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Role, identity, and clarity. You're able
makes
to
you dangerous.
It makes you real dangerous because Fred can dial up. So he's like the mad saying, he'll dial up some sets on you now. I mean, Fred like to get his shots in.
He does.
He's gonna make sure everybody gets the shots in. Listen, if you was a basketball player want to get some shots up, Fred come call it. I'm answering. You get some shots, and he's gonna create some shots for you. So. Everybody's able to feast off it right now.
Big one tonight at Pinnacle Bank Arena will be at 8 o'clock, Nebraska and Michigan State. It's number 13 versus number 9 in the AP poll. Analytics would say, okay, maybe not quite that highly rated. Actually, the net is closest. Michigan State is 14th, Nebraska 15th in the net. Evan Miyakawa has Michigan State at 14, Nebraska at 20. Bart Torvik, Michigan State at 16, Nebraska at 25. And Ken Pomeroy has Michigan State at number 15 and Nebraska at number 22. Whatever number you put in front of it, the connections between Coach Hoiberg and Tom Izzo. This has been a series with some interesting moments in it since Nebraska's joined the Big Ten, and a huge moment in front of the Nebraska men's basketball program here tonight. We'll talk a little college football playoff. Plenty more to get to on that when we get to Monday. Obviously, the Vortex is spinning. The transfer portal might update you on that and more. Closing out hour 2 and the show for Old School right after this.
You're listening to Old School with Jay Foreman and Austin Orman. Download the mobile app and listen wherever you are on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. 93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, a chance of wintry mix with patchy fog, otherwise cloudy skies, a high near 33. Tonight, a chance of snow, otherwise cloudy skies, a low around 24. And tomorrow, we'll see mostly sunny skies, some light winds, an afternoon high near 44. I'm meteorologist Kyle Puckett for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
A membership with John Henry's will fast track you to front of the line service, seasonal tune-ups, and far fewer unexpected moments. That means no breakdowns, no waiting on a call, and no nonsense. It's consistent care that prevents small issues from turning into big bills. Join the Comfort Club and get VIP treatment 365 days a year with 24-hour priority response, member-only discounts, and peace of mind on your home's most expensive systems. Call John Henry's.
John Henry's Plumbing. Heating and air.
And electrical.
Why are some people more successful? Is it talent and determination, or did they recognize an opportunity? Discover a career that lets you help families reach their financial goals as you build lasting professional relationships. One with unlimited income potential. From Modern Woodman, a leading fraternal financial services provider.
I'm Modern Woodman Regional Director Sean Erickson. Call me at 402-483-6515 to learn about career opportunities.
Modern Woodman of America. Touching lives, securing futures.
Planet Fitness has everything you need to start strong, so you can give everything you've got. From plate-loaded strength equipment and functional training areas to treadmills, stair climbers, and free weights. Our equipment is best in class, and our clubs are right around the corner, so you can make this your strongest year yet. Join the club today and save $28 or more when you join for $1 down, $15 a month. Cancel anytime. Deal ends Friday, January 9th. Are you coming? Planet Fitness. We're all strong on this planet. See club for details.
A new year means it's time to try new things. If you haven't tried Führer's cheese spread yet, the time is now. For the days you don't want to go to the gym, don't worry. Führer's cheese spread is there to cheer you up. And for the days you do get to the gym, why not celebrate when you get back with the best dip around? Get to your local grocery store today and load up on Führer's cheese spread. No event or party is complete without it on your table.
In a world where Wi-Fi battles rage and bandwidth is never enough, one family dares to connect it all. Work from home, influence all day, stream all night, and game to win. Deadlines, downloads, and dance-offs, all happening under one roof, flawlessly. Can your internet provider do that? Fiber fuel your household at allofiber.com/all-in.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
Empower a child today with the Teammates Mentoring Program by building a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting lincolnteammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today. All right, Lincoln, if you're a diesel technician who's ready to earn up to $40 an hour and you're tired of working nights and weekends, listen up. Inland Truck Parts and Service is hiring experienced diesel technicians right here in Lincoln, and they're offering what every hardworking tech wants. Monday through Friday hours, no nights, no weekends, and paid training on advanced diesel technology. With 37 locations across 12 states, career advancement opportunities are endless. Start building towards your future and apply today at inlandtruck.com. That's inlandtruck.com. Or text APPLY to 785-369-1320.
Rosie's Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road, just south of 14th and Highway 2.
Back to Old School with Foreman and Orman on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hey, we skating? We doing it?
No.
Dang. Culture and Coffee coming up next here, 93.7 Ticket. I'm Austin. He's Jay. This has been Old School, brought to you in 2026 by Graham Tire, your tire store next door for Lincoln location. Shout out to the good folks at Graham. All right, Jake, college football playoff. Don't have much time to get into it. We can save some of the big overview takeaways for Monday. But every team that had a bye ended up losing except for one. Indiana. The Hoosiers just keep wrecking the narratives, man.
It's not that. They just start wrecking people's dreams. I mean, they beat the tar out of Bama. Physically, mentally, and spiritually. That's a big loss for Bama, the way they beat them. From a physical standpoint, Bama came out and threw some punches. Indiana withstood those punches and punched them harder.
Hear me out. Could we look back on last night's yesterday afternoon's win for Indiana and say that was Alabama's 2001 Rose Bowl like Nebraska?
Yeah, you could.
Maybe didn't deserve to. Maybe didn't deserve to be there, but you got there and then thoroughly outclassed. Made you ask some uncomfortable questions about yourself. You don't handle it the best. Bama's gonna have to handle it better than Nebraska did.
The only way is if Bama is extremely impulsive and reactive. I think Kalen DeBoer is a good coach. I think he's going to have to address the lack of physicality in the way that they play. And the only thing I'm disappointed in with him, and obviously this is something that maybe is too late, is like, dude, you've been in college, you've done it before, and he's battled back. I think when they lost to Ferris State one time, 55-0, came back to win it. The lack of ability at Alabama to run the football, that's what they're known for.
Yeah.
Their line is built for that with Caden Proctor.
Yeah.
All that.
Unless, I'm not saying Caden Proctor's the problem, but
it's the identity. Sure. I mean,
if he's supposed to be the tone setter, if he's supposed to be the leader of that group.
But they're not running the ball. They beat Oklahoma. They depend so much on Simpson in the passing game. And you miscalculated Kirk Cignetti and their defensive staff that has tremendous amount of continuity. They won't next year because both those guys will eventually be head coaches.
Haynes is a psycho in the best way.
Right, but you got to understand, they know that.
Yeah.
They have one of the best cover corners in the nation. They have one of the best linebackers in the nation. They are very strategic in their pass rush to coverages, continuity. They will confuse you. They will run zone blitzes, man blitzes, and you're trying to live and die by the pass or by the passing, and your offensive line hasn't been dominating in pass protection. So that's where I think Bama and Nebraska are the same. And whereas Nebraska reacted, right, went right to the opposite.
Pretty impulsive.
Whereas Bama, you actually need to be supporting Kalen DeBoer. And Kalen DeBoer's smart enough. He's smart enough now that he understands, like, the whole Penn State, Michigan. There's not another job that you can think like, all right, if Alabama kind of pisses me off so much, I'm going to go get. So just make it work here. They got to address their physicality defensively. And I think that can be addressed by being more physical in general.
Adding to my point that this could be the moment for Alabama, bunch of changes going on in college football, just like there were in 2001, right? Just out of the BCS era, just out of Prop 48 and all that stuff. Those were Nebraska's advantages. Alabama had its advantages over the table, under the table, you name it. Now, the difference is I don't think Alabama lost to a top 5 most talented team of all time.
No.
Like Nebraska did. So there's a big difference there.
Yeah, there was not any Hall of Fame players as of right now, college Hall of Fame, I guess Mendoza because he won the Heisman.
But that doesn't make you a Hall of Famer. I mean, he's been good.
Get in there. I mean, Jason White isn't going to college Hall of Fame, but just assume Mendoza, gets in eventually, being the only guy that could, walk and chew gum at quarterback position for Indiana. So I think that helps. That it's not that overly talented team, but man, it really showed some holes. It really, like the Georgia loss, and then you're able to kind of mask that by beating Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And there's questionable about them, and then you get trounced. And Alabama and Georgia are still they have the most prominence in the SEC, in particularly Alabama, because theirs the longest, going all the way back, right? Yeah. So the fact that not only the way they got beat with DeBoer as head coach, but the fact that Bama got beat.
Yeah.
So now people are drawing conclusions throughout the whole SEC that you guys were nothing but fool's gold. All those years you guys thought you were playing semi-pro football and everybody else is playing JV. So it's a two-pronged loss, and it was on the biggest stage at the Rose Bowl by an upstart team that everybody thought couldn't validate what they did last year. They not only validated it, they did it again. And Kirk Sinay letting you know, too.
Oh, yeah. He's unapologetically himself before the game and after the game. So I definitely want to talk more about these games next week. I mean, we got to give you your platform to talk about Chuck Foreman, the way that one went down, have a conversation about Ohio State.
I told people, listen, we talked about earlier about the class, right? You Mario Cristobal, the former King.
Mm-hmm.
He has 7 different guys that are former players on his staff. They know what it takes to win there.
Mm-hmm.
That they are physical, man.
Yeah.
And they are ruthless and they are mean.
And we will talk more about that one coming up on Monday. What does it mean for the U? What does it mean for Ohio State? Then you get Oregon and you get Indiana. Oregon, money beats money. Shout out the Ducks for that one. And obviously Indiana right there. Ole Miss on the opposite side of the bracket there from Miami. What a story that could be. We'll wrap up with this, though, Jay, a little bit of NFL. Thomas and Lincoln, we appreciate you holding on, sticking with us with this question here, Jay. A couple big games will decide the division, 3 of them. In fact, you get the AFC North getting decided on Sunday night. It'll be the Ravens and the Steelers. And then coming up just tomorrow, actually, the other 2 divisions in the NFC will be decided. It'll be Tampa Bay and Carolina and Seattle and San Francisco. Who you got in those 3 games?
Man, I'm gonna go San Fran over Seattle.
Okay.
I'm gonna trust
for the 1 seed.
Yeah, I'm gonna trust. In Seattle's in, but I'm
yeah.
but I'm gonna trust. I'm gonna trust Brock Purdy in San Fran. Now, the only thing that hurts them is that they back-to-back road games, and that isn't fair to them.
They had a half off against Indy, so
I'm gonna go. You know what? I'm gonna go Baker Mayfield in Tampa. If they're gonna get out of their own way. One time. You've had 4 weeks to wrap this thing up. You wanted the drama. You guys are going to get it, right? Levante David, I'm always going to roll with them. But dang, you talking about must-see TV. The Ravens and the Steelers.
For the division.
I'm going to go to Steelers.
Ooh. It's in Pittsburgh, I think, isn't it? So that helps.
Yeah.
That's more fire to the conversations we were talking about the Ravens and Lamar last week.
It might be a body bag game. I mean, the boys are going to be hitting for real. Hey, that's a game where you got to make sure you got all your checks and balances ready before the game. So listen, if it gets too cringeworthy, just send your family home. I'll be there later.
If you're Ray Lewis, you go 1 for 2 with Miami in and Baltimore out. You probably take
crazy.
That.
Yeah.
So 2 for 2.
Yeah, 2 for 2, man. It's
stay home.
Yeah, this is not a game for the faint of heart.
It's not.
Yeah, no shaking hands before the game. It's like, let's get it on. So
there you go. That'll do it for the week on Old School. Great first show of the year. Big thanks to Graham Tire for coming on board as the title sponsor. Shout them out. They do all sorts of great stuff, including car and light truck repairs, more than just tires. From brakes to oil changes, trust Graham Tire for service you can count on. Graham Tire, getting you to the places that matter most. Get yourself down here to 1040 O Street, The Mill. Culture and Coffee. Mike Smith coming up next. All right, Lincoln, if you're a diesel technician who's ready to earn up to $40 an hour and you're tired of working nights and weekends, listen up. Inland Truck Parts and Service is hiring experienced diesel technicians right